Good afternoon. I'll call to order the Public Utilities Commission annual meeting for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. The first item on our agenda is our oath of office for Darren Biebler and Colleen Skillings.
You guys would stand and raise your hand, and then if you want to use that to repeat after me, if it helps you. Then just fill in your name when we get there, you can do it at the same time. I, so-and-so, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I, Colleen Skillings, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I, Darren Bugler, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Minnesota.
and of the state of Minnesota,
You didn't say that.
and of the state of Minnesota,
And faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner of the Public Utilities Commission
and
faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner of the Public Utilities Commission,
said city of New Ulm in the county of Brown and state of Minnesota,
said city of New Ulm in the county of Brown and the state of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Then I'll have you guys sign this.
All right, thank you. Welcome. Next item on our agenda is our election of officers. Every year we elect for president and vice president. During the 2024 year, Seth Visser was president and Sean Finklin was vice president. I don't know if I can definitely do president again if it's up to you, but we need to fill the role for vice president that will step in.
I nominate Seth Visser for president.
We need nomination for vice president. Or an offering.
Want to do it?
Sure.
I don't care, yeah. I nominate Mary Ellen Shaughness for vice president.
Okay. So then, we need the motion, right?
Yep.
With the names filled in. So somebody want to offer a motion with both names in there as president and vice president?
I'll make the motion to nominate Seth Visser as president and Mary Ellen Shaughness as vice president of the Public Utilities Commission.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Does anybody have any comments on that? If not, I'll offer a motion to approve the consent agenda. Or I'll need a motion to.
I'll make a motion to accept this consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now we have up is our employee of the month, Alex Scharfenkamp.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Our employee of the month for the month of December is Alex Shopacom. Alex works as a storeroom helper at the MDC, our Material Distribution Center. Alex has demonstrated great organizational skills, and he's willing to accommodate all employees and contractors with a positive outlook. He's very pleasant personality that makes the atmosphere at the MDC a positive one. He's self-motivated and is always looking to better workflow and help up when needed. Alex is a valuable employee and truly an asset to the MDC. So I want to congratulate Alex Shopacom.
I'll make the motion to recognize Alex Shopcom as employee of the month for December 2024.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to new business. It'll be commissioner appointments for committees. And just kind of a point of reference, I've already been in the minutes for Cable Commission Advisory Board or Communications Advisory Board. So we'll need two people for the Personnel Committee, because we had our meeting 2 weeks ago, I think, for Cable Communications.
All right.
I'll volunteer for the Personnel Committee.
Okay, Kim?
Yeah, I can too.
Aaron?
Okay.
All right, I'll need a motion to have that. It's documented in the notes if you want to read it.
You want a motion?
Yes.
Yeah. I will make the motion for Seth Vesser for the Cable Communication Advisory Board and Dan Bugler, Derek Bugler, and Kim Williams for Personnel Committee.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll go on to 2025 pay equity.
Yes, President Visser, Commissioners, this is the 2025 Pay Equity Implementation Report. The Local Government Pay Equity Act of 1984 established an equitable compensation relationships between male and female employees in job classifications. So the utility is required to submit this data by January 31st. Of 2025. We fully expect that the Minnesota Department of Management and Budget will find this in compliance, but we ask that our request is for your approval to submit it to the state. And I believe that Shauna brings it back. Our HR director will bring it back again once it
This is
has
something
been.
we've done every year, and I think the attorney told us this year that it's something we're supposed to be bringing before we
Asking
submit it,
for
and then
permission.
bringing back
Oh,
for
annually.
approval once we get the report, so.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to authorize submission of the 2025 Pay Equity Implementation Report to the Minnesota Department of Management and Budget as required by the Local Government Pay Equity Act.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now on to our annual distributed energy resource report. Derek.
Good evening, Commissioners. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Derek Nelson. I'm the Energy Services Representative with the utility. And for the past, I think, at least 3 years, I've been bringing this report to the public, local body, which is the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission. It was a report that was always sent off to the Minnesota Department of Commerce, but I can actually give that to you and not have to submit that to them. Regardless, I still do because there's so many reports regarding distributed energy resources, or DER, that it's just easier to still submit that to them. So under certain Minnesota state statutes, electric utilities have to supply DER, which is in this case is anything that's interconnected to an electric utility. In New Ulm, it's only so far solar. So everything that I report to this commission and Department of Commerce has to do with solar interconnects within the city limits in our public utilities territory. Some things that we need to submit to Department of Commerce are, the size of the system, what feeder and substation is connected to. For some reason, they like to know if we happen to know what the cost of the installation of that project was and things like that. So attached to this agenda item is the actual report that I send off to the Minnesota Department of Commerce. And just to highlight a few items within the report, we've had 37 individual connections within the utility. The initial one that was interconnected has been decommissioned. I think it was 2006 it was initially installed. 2018 it was decommissioned. So we have 37 active applications within New Ulm, and of those 36, of those 36, I think there's 3 locations that have did an initial installation and then came back within a year or two later and submitted another application added on to their system. So they're considered individual applications, so I consider them individual interconnections. So there's 36 active applications, probably like 34 areas, sites. They total just over 390 kilowatts. And as of last year, we had 7, well, it says 8. We had 8 applications. One was withdrawn, but 7 were interconnected. So that's kind of to summarize what this report is. And the state uses it for their, numerous different types of reasons and other data. I suppose they give that off to MISO as well, just so they know what types of DER is on the grid.
Has there been a lot added in the last, if there were 7 or 8 last year, it seems like a
Well,
significant jump compared to previous years.
All of the ones that were interconnected last year was the city department, the EDA.
Okay,
Prior years after that, there's always anywhere between 5 and 7. So last year, if the EDA wouldn't have put in an application, installed any, that would have been the first year where there would have been 0. But obviously there wasn't. That was kind of a special case. I got some special funds to install those locations.
what is your largest system that's on?
50
interconnect?
kW.
How much?
50.
Okay,
50 kW, and that's at the Broadway House, 300 North Broadway. After that, the next largest is 39, I believe. Because when you get over that 40 kW, then it's kind of considered, a certain size system, and the price the utility could pay for the energy that we purchase back from them is different, because anything under 40 kW is considered net energy billing.
okay.
So that's that special kind of rate, which I think Beth will talk about next agenda item. So, any other questions regarding the report or the DER in New Ulm?
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approving the report.
Make a motion to approve the annual distributed energy report for 2024.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
you.
Now on to our cogen and small production rate schedule.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We are asking for approval on our updated cogeneration and small power production rate schedule for 2025 to be effective with the March 1st, 2025 billing. And this, like Derek said, is attributed to those rates that we were just talking about. So according to the Minnesota statute 216B.164, municipal utilities and co-ops are required to provide a cogeneration and small power production rate to promote renewable energy installations. In our case for New Ulm, that is primarily solar. And we have 2 sections of our rate schedule that we are looking to update. The first is the net energy billing rates. So that's the payment per kilowatt hour for energy delivered to the New Ulm Public Utilities. And the residential rate, we are proposing to change from 0.1347 cents per kilowatt hour to 14.35 cents per kilowatt hour for residential. For small commercial, we're proposing a rate change from 12.71 cents per kilowatt hour to 13.69 cents per kilowatt hour. And large commercial rate change from 9.9 cents per kilowatt hour to 10.9 cents per kilowatt hour. Also, we are looking to increase our interconnection costs. There are 2 areas of interconnection costs. So the coordination of interconnection, we're proposing a change from $225 to $450, and the commissioning and travel change from $275 to $550 for a total interconnection cost change from $500 to $1,000.
And those are one-time costs, correct? Yeah,
Correct.
For connecting? Yeah.
Yes.
I'll make the motion now for the resolution to approve the New Ulm Public Utilities cogeneration and small power production rate schedule for 2025 to be effective with the March 1st, 2025 billing.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? You call the roll? If not, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Shaunis,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Skillings,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bugle.
Yes.
Bugle. And Commissioner Visser.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item is our energy acquisition adjustment for 2025.
Yes, Commissioners. Every year, we bring you the updated calculation for the EAA, as we call it, the Energy Acquisition Adjustment. And that is the difference between our rates and our purchase power. So we have updated that rate to take effect on February 1st of 2025. And the previous rate was 2.843 cents per kilowatt hour. And the adjustment that we would propose is going to 2.95 cents per kilowatt hour.
I'll make the motion to approve the proposed EAA energy acquisition adjustment of $0.2959 to be effective February 1st, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I have one question. Will this adjust after our payment for the rising cost? I think it's when we had the energy spike or gas spike. Will this be adjusted after that?
Yes, so that was on the agenda item also, or the commission action. So for the commissioners that weren't here, in 2021, we had a huge gas spike from the extreme cold that we had in January of that year. And during that time, we were also generating power in the power plant. And because we were doing a project to replace some of the transmission lines, and so we had to cut power to those transmission lines, and we were generating our own power. Unfortunately, that extreme gas spike happened during that time, and so we ended up allocating $1.5 million to that project for the gas spike at that time. So we are recovering that cost through the EAA adjustment over 4 years, and that was approved by commission back in 2021. So that it amounts to $375,000 per year for 4 years. 2025 will be the last year where that $375,000 will be included in that calculation. So next year, that will not be included there.
Thank you, Beth. Is there any further questions on that? All right, motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a fire alarm system at MDC.
Yes. The material distribution center is basically where we keep all of our inventory for all of our parts, our hydrants, our wire, our transformers, anything that's used in the course of our business. It was discovered that there was not an adequate fire alarm system in that building. And so we received 2 quotes to install. We are going with the low bidder, which is Gopher Alarms. And this particular item was not included in the 2025 budget. However, due to the safety and security concerns with that, we think it's an important project to complete, even if it's not in the budget. And there are adequate reserves within the administration department to cover the cost. So we're asking that you approve the quote from Gopher Alarms.
Yeah, I have no issue. It seems like, especially for a fire alarm and the cost of materials in there.
Mhm.
I'll make the motion to authorize the approval of the quote provided by Gopher Alarms LLC for a complete fire alarm system at the MDC in the amount of $15,152.65.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed. Now we have 20th Street Lift Station repair.
Yeah, Commissioners, in 2023, the wastewater treatment plant did an infrastructure condition analysis, and you'll hear more about that as we go through. But this condition analysis basically looked at our wastewater plant, it looked at our lift stations, to get an idea of infrastructure that needed to be replaced within the next 20 years. One of the items that was assessed was at the 20th lift station. It seemed that there was a support beam that was showing severe signs of corrosion. It's a very caustic area in the waste treatment plant, and they recommended that it be repaired within the next 5 years. That is one of the items that we've chosen on this list to get repaired. We acquired 2 quotes for the repair of the beam, with the low quote being from Paragon Restoration. So we're asking you to approve that for $11,100.
I know I've questioned this before, that there was such a huge difference in the quotes. I'm assuming everything's been checked out, that what
It
you
has.
need is...
Yes, that's a really good question. So Paragon Restoration actually is a company that's very familiar with this type of work. They specialize in it. The other quoter was a construction company that does a lot of other work for us out at the wastewater plant. They are not as familiar with this type of work. They basically put in a higher bid because they didn't know what they were expecting or what could come of the project. And so Paragon will do just fine. It's their specialty, so we're very confident with them.
Then I'll make the motion to receive and order file the quote from Paragon Restoration 2 Incorporated for the 20th Street Lift Station beam repair in the amount of $11,100.
I'll second it.
In a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gas monitoring for 20th Lift in Cortland.
Yes, so there's gas monitoring equipment that are in it, that is in our lift stations. And basically, this equipment will monitor oxygen, hydrogen sulfide, any combustible levels. And it's for the safety of our staff when they enter the lift stations. The equipment at the 20th Lift and Cortland, both are at the end of life. And these sensors are needing to be replaced every 3 months. Or every 6 months, I'm sorry. There's new technology that's available, which has a longer sensor life, and it will reduce the replacement time. They'll be replaced more like every 3 years rather than every 6 months. It wasn't included in the budget for $45,000. However, it is proprietary equipment, so there was 1 quote received.
I'll make the motion to receive and order file the quote from Tech Sales Company for the gas monitoring equipment for 20th Lift and Cortland Lift Stations in the amount of $44,889.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now is our main wastewater plant MCC replacement project.
Yes, Commissioners, as I mentioned before, we had that infrastructure condition assessment, and one of the main items that was identified in that report was the electrical systems within, and the replacement of the MCCs within the plant and then the other process buildings. You have seen 2 others come before you. This is the 3rd MCC that we're looking to replace. The ATAD and the 20th Lift has been completed, so that both those projects are done. We have potentially 4 more additional ones that will be coming before you. But this one is actually to replace the one in the main main plant. It's 50 years old. It has exceeded its useful life, and we feel that it's imperative to get that fixed, or get that replaced. It also was included in the 2025 budget, and we expect the total, this is just for the engineering. You'll see the equipment come before you once we get that, but we're expecting the total project to be, around $400,000.
So when will we do the project?
Once you approve this, we'll have the engineering and design done, and the project will probably be done later this year.
Later this year. Okay.
I make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the proposal from Power System Engineering, PSE, for the main wastewater plant motor control center replacement project in the amount of $23,810.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're on to some chlorine pumps.
Yes, this is within our water treatment plant. This equipment was included in the budget for $50,000. What we're looking at is the purchase of a chemical metering pumps and a skid unit. And so the current system really has a high operational cost with any parts and labor, and the new chlorine pump skid will allow for less time on preventative maintenance labor due to the extended runtime of the replacement parts. The skid unit also standardizes all of the chemical pumps within the plant, and so that will be uniform across the system as well. So we're asking that you approve the purchase for $46,176.
Is the water department going to be installing it then?
Yes, the water department will be installing. Mhm.
I'll make the motion to receive and order file the purchase of chemical metering pumps and a skid unit from Hawkins Incorporated in the amount of $46,176.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, some controls on burner management for number 4 boiler. Glenn.
Good afternoon, President Visser and Commissioners. This project is for number 4 boiler for Generation 4 MISO, which is Midwest Independent System, or Mid-Continent Independent System Operators, which we belong to. It's actually a continuation of a project we started in 2020 to upgrade all the burners and burning management. We did receive 2 bids for this project from Seminole Sterling and Novaspec. I'm asking that we approve. It is slightly higher, as you see in the overview, what this project was about, simply for streamlining things. It's just Novaspec's bid or project proposal would work, but it's a totally separate system, and then anytime you have problems, you're going to have to contact 2 vendors, and you know how that works. I mean, it's a lot more streamlined with just one system, which all of our burners on boilers 1, 2, and 4 are now preferred instruments, so it just makes it more uniform. And one of the main reasons for this project is also when we get called from MISO, which we did several times last year, we have to be online within 24 hours. And if everything works perfect, we need about 20 to 21 hours to get it done. So I can't have any hiccups, and in the past, we've been having some issues with basically the burners not lighting. So we've always got online on time, but if we weren't, then we would get penalized in our capacity for next year. So we don't want to lose that capacity on our plant either. So I think it's a good project, like I say, just to basically finish up that whole burner management on that system, or on that boiler.
Are some of our other boilers on the same system?
Yes, they're
Okay.
all preferred now. And they almost all have new, but they're called Fire Eye, so they basically monitor the fire.
Yep.
If there's a fire in there, it'll let the gas come, or the igniter goes first, and then it'll allow the gas to flow. But we've been having issues that it doesn't pick up that pilot, and then it won't let the burner light, and then we're stuck. We've had issues with it,
Yeah.
but so far we've been able to.
And it still looks like you're under what we budgeted for the year
Yes,
on the
we are.
project too.
Well, and if they're on the 24-hour, and if it's different, it could take longer to just figure out the problems with it. right?
Yes, yeah, that's.
Yeah, one of the main benefits of our power plant is the ability to be able to generate when we're called upon. And that basically is from MISO. It's the upper Midwest. They'll call on us if there's another plant down or if conditions are right, typically they'll call on us. But one of the requirements of the boiler is that we can get that up within 24 hours. So it's a pretty tight schedule.
Yep.
So we want everything working, at optimal capacity.
I'd like to ask you for approval of this project, or if you have any other questions.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to award the bid for the replacement of the combustion controls and burner management panels on the number 4 boiler from Semio Sterling Midwest Group in the amount of $283,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on it? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Glenn. Next up is a Bobcat excavator purchase.
Oh, yes, this is for the electric distribution department. It's a piece of equipment that they use quite a bit on a daily basis. They're looking to purchase this Bobcat from Clark Equipment Company. Clark was the low bid, and it was also, I believe, the state bid. And so this was budgeted in the amount of $55,000. The old excavator was actually in an agenda item, the consent agenda items for surplus, so that the old one will actually go to Gov Deals and be sold on Gov Deals.
So we won't be trading in, and we'll use the value to put against this.
Yeah. I believe that is the case. Or was this the one that had the trade-in?
This looks like it has a trade.
I think it did have the trade-in, I take.
24.
Yep, I'm sorry. I take that back. It's the two vehicles
So we'll be
that were on the
trading in.
consent agenda. Yeah, we're getting a trade-in value of $24,500. Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for this.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to accept the quote from Clark Equipment Company in the amount of $25,150.16 plus tax, title, and license fees to purchase a 25 horsepower R2 Series Bobcat compact excavator.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're into purchase unit 6, a GMC.
Yeah, Unit 6 is going to replace a 2013 GMC. This particular unit, we went out to state bid, but a local vendor was able to come in lower, so we're going with the local vendor. This also was budgeted in the amount of $73,000. And, part of it is from Chuck Spaeth, the other part is from Chris Steele Truck Equipment, which will put on the service boxes. So the total truck cost would be $47,008.47.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to accept the quote from Chuck Spaeth Ford to purchase a 2025 Ford F-150 in the amount of $43,166, and the quote from Christeel Truck Equipment for the installation of service boxes of $5,842.47 for a total truck cost of $47,008.47.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I was
Opposed?
just going to say, I think that's good work that you got a local vendor to be able to provide that. So
Yep.
anytime we can do that, that's.
Yep, we always, we'll always compare the state bid to local vendors to try to get, local if we can, but we're obligated to go with low bid.
Big savings from budgeted amount at least.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next up is the Unit 13 replacement.
Yeah, this is a F-450 dump truck. This was the state bid by Ford of Hibbing. in the amount of $62,911. And then that's for the chassis. And then the dump box will be put on by Chris Steele Truck Equipment for $26,321. This truck did go over budget. Budget was $73,000. However, the old Unit 13 will be sold on Gov Deals. We're hoping to get an estimated value of $12,000. We're not sure what we'll get, but that's what we're hoping to get. And then there's also available funds in the reserves to cover the remaining over budget amount, so,
Yeah, then it appears like we saved some on the last purchase as well.
exactly, yep.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to accept the state bid from Ford of Hibbing in the amount of $62,911 to purchase a Ford, or a F-450 truck chassis, and the quote from Chris Steele Truck Equipment for the dump box in the amount of $26,321 for a total truck cost of $89,232.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Last item is our report of claims.
I'll make the motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $3,976,707.01.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is, do we have any additional comments from our new commissioners or existing commissioners? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you.